My name is Catherine Miller. I'm 52 years old, a registered nurse, and on March 17th of last year, I died for 25 minutes. My heart flatlined. My brain stopped. The doctors gave up, but my 16-year-old daughter didn't. She knelt by my hospital bed, put her hand on mine, and prayed one sentence. What happened next has no medical explanation, and it changed everything I thought I knew about life, death, and the God I'd been ignoring for 30 years. I've been a nurse for 28 years. I've seen people die. I've held hands as patients took their last breath. I've called time of death more times than I can count, but I never thought I'd be the one on the table, the one whose heart stopped, the one whose family would have to say goodbye. That day started like any other Tuesday. I woke at 5:30, made coffee, got ready for my shift at the hospital. I worked in the cardiac unit. Ironic, considering what was about to happen. My daughter, Emma, was getting ready for school. She's 16, smart, kind, and has been carrying a faith I stopped believing in years ago. Her father, my ex-husband, took her to church when she was little. After the divorce 8 years ago, I stopped going. Not out of anger at God, but out of nothing. I just stopped caring. I threw myself into work, into being a good mom, into building a life that didn't need anything beyond what I could see and control. That morning, Emma asked me, "Mom, can I pray for you before you go?" She'd been asking that for months. Most days I said, "Sure, honey," and let her say a quick prayer while I mentally ran through my to-do list. That morning, I was running late. "Not today, Em. I've got to go." She looked disappointed, but didn't push. I kissed her forehead, grabbed my keys, and left. The shift was busy. We had 3 admissions, 2 discharges, and a code blue in the ICU. I was on my feet for hours. Around 2 p.m., I started feeling off. Not sick exactly, but strange. My chest felt tight. My left arm tingled. I told myself it was stress, maybe low blood sugar. I grabbed a granola bar from the break room and kept working. By 3 the tightness had turned into pressure. Real pressure, like someone was standing on my chest. I knew what this was. I'd seen it 100 times. But denial is a powerful thing. I didn't want to believe my own body was betraying me. I was 52, relatively healthy, no major risk factors. This wasn't supposed to happen to me. My coworker, Lisa, noticed I was pale. "Kath, you okay?" I nodded, but she didn't buy it. "You look terrible. Sit down." I tried to wave her off, but she grabbed my wrist and checked my pulse. Her face changed. "Your pulse is irregular. I'm taking you to the ER." I protested, but Lisa was having none of it. She walked me down the hall to the emergency department, where my friend, Dr. Rachel Martin, was working. Rachel took one look at me and said, "Exam room 2. Now." They hooked me up to an EKG machine, and I watched the monitor spit out a rhythm I recognized immediately. ST elevation, anterior wall. I was having a massive heart attack. Rachel's voice was calm but urgent. "Kath, we need to get you to the cath lab. You're having an MI. We're going to take care of you." I nodded, but fear was creeping in. Not fear of dying, but fear of losing control. I'm the nurse. I'm the one who takes care of people. I'm not supposed to be the patient. They wheeled me through the halls I'd walked 1,000 times, but now everything looked different. The ceiling tiles I'd never paid attention to, the fluorescent lights that flickered, the faces of coworkers staring as I passed. I wanted to tell them I was fine, but I wasn't. My chest felt like it was splitting open. In the cath lab, Dr. Stevens was waiting. I'd worked with him for years. "Catherine, we're going to get you through this," he said, his voice steady. They prepped me, gave me medication, started the procedure. I could see the monitors, the images of my arteries on the screen. I saw the blockage, a big one, right in the left anterior descending artery, the widowmaker we call it. Then everything went wrong, fast. The monitor started beeping, alarms I'd heard 1,000 times but never from my own body. My heart rhythm was deteriorating, ventricular fibrillation. "Doctor." Stevens's face went from focused to alarmed. "We're losing her. Charge to 200. I heard the high-pitched whine of the defibrillator charging. Then I felt nothing. 1 second, I was on the table staring at the ceiling. The next second, I wasn't. I can't describe it any other way. I was standing beside the table, watching them work on my body. I could see Dr. Stevens doing chest compressions. I could see Rachel running in with more medication. I could see the flat line on the monitor. And I felt nothing. No pain, no fear, just a strange detachment. like I was watching a scene from a movie. I didn't see a tunnel. I didn't see a bright light. I didn't hear angels singing. It was just quiet, eerily quiet. And then I felt a pull, not physical, but something deeper, like I was being tugged backward, away from the room, away from my body, away from everything. I tried to resist. I wanted to stay. I wanted to tell them to keep trying, but the pull was stronger. I could hear Rachel's voice, faint and distant. "Come on, Kath. Don't you dare leave us." But I was already leaving. I could feel it. The room was fading. The sounds were fading. Everything was fading. Then I heard another voice. Clear, close, urgent. "Mom." It was Emma, but that didn't make sense. Emma was at school. How could I hear her? But I heard her again. "Mom, please, don't go." And then I felt something warm on my hand, like someone was holding it, even though I knew my body was on that table and no one was touching it. I don't know how long I was in that in-between place. Time didn't work the same way. It could have been seconds. It could have been hours. But I became aware that I wasn't alone. There was a presence. Not a person, not a thing, but a presence. And it was both comforting and terrifying at the same time. I felt like I was being asked a question without words. "Are you ready?" And I didn't know the answer. Ready for what? To die? To live? I'd spent 30 years not thinking about God, not praying, not caring about anything beyond this life. And now, standing at the edge of something I couldn't see or understand, I realized I'd been wrong. There was more. There had always been more. I just hadn't been paying attention. The pull got stronger. I tried to speak, to say something, to ask for more time. But before I could form the thought, I felt a shock, like being hit by lightning. My body arched on the table. The monitors beeped, and I heard Dr. Stevens shout, "We've got a rhythm!" But I wasn't back yet. I was hovering, caught between two places, watching them work on me, watching Rachel cry, watching Dr. Stevens order more medication. Then I heard Emma's voice again, clearer this time. "God, please, I need my mom." And that voice, her voice, became an anchor. I felt myself being pulled back, not gently, but violently, like being yanked through a narrow opening. The room came back into focus. The pain came back. The sounds came back. And I gasped, choking on the breathing tube, my chest on fire. Rachel's face appeared above me, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're back. Oh my God, Kath, you're back." But all I could think about was Emma. How did I hear her? How was she here? And why did her prayer feel like the only thing that pulled me out of that place? When I opened my eyes, everything hurt. The breathing tube scraped my throat. My chest felt like it had been hit with a sledgehammer. The lights were too bright. The sounds were too loud. But I was alive. Rachel was crying and smiling at the same time. Dr. Stevens looked like he'd aged 10 years. "Catherine, you gave us a scare," he said, his voice shaky. "We lost you for 25 minutes. 25 minutes. I'd been dead for 25 minutes. In medical terms, that's an eternity. After 4 minutes without oxygen, the brain starts to die. After 10 minutes, irreversible damage is almost guaranteed. 25 minutes should have left me brain dead, if not completely gone. But here I was, awake, aware, and apparently intact. They moved me to the ICU after stabilizing me. The stent was in place. My heart was beating. But the medical team was cautious, overly cautious. They ran test after test, CT scans of my brain, neurological exams, kidney function tests, liver panels. They were looking for damage, expecting it, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Emma arrived an hour later. I heard her before I saw her, her voice in the hallway, frantic, asking where I was. Then she burst through the door, her face streaked with tears, and ran to my bedside. "Mom," she sobbed, grabbing my hand. "Mom, you're okay. You're really okay." I wanted to talk, but the breathing tube was still in. I squeezed her hand instead, as hard as I could. She leaned down, her forehead touching mine. "I prayed, Mom. I prayed so hard. I knew God would bring you back." Her words hit me like a second shock. I remembered hearing her voice when I was wherever I was. How was that possible? She'd been at school, miles away, but she was here now, and her presence felt like the only solid thing in the room. My ex-husband, David, showed up shortly after. We'd been divorced for 8 years, but he still cared. He looked rattled, pale, unsure of what to say. "Kath," he started, then stopped. "I'm glad you're okay." I nodded. Emma stood between us, holding both our hands, and for a moment, It felt like we were a family again. Broken, yes, but present. The doctors extubated me the next morning. The first words out of my mouth were, "How long?" Rachel, who'd barely left my side, said, 25 minutes. You were down for 25 minutes, Kath. We shocked you 8 times. Nothing worked. And then, she trailed off, her eyes welling up again. And then your heart just started. No reason. No explanation. It just started. I looked at Emma, who was sitting in the corner, her hands folded like she was still praying. Did you call her? I asked Rachel. She shook her head. No, she called us. Said she had a feeling something was wrong. She got here about 10 minutes into the code. We let her stand outside the room. She was praying the whole time. 10 minutes into the code. That's when I heard her voice. That's when I felt her hand. Even though my body was on the table, I didn't have words for it. I still don't. But something happened in that room that can't be explained by medicine. Over the next few days, the tests came back. My brain, completely normal. No signs of hypoxic injury. No swelling. No damage. The neurologist who reviewed my scans looked confused. Mrs. Miller, he said carefully, based on the timeline, you should have significant brain damage, but your scans are clean. I've never seen anything like this. My kidneys, which had started to shut down during the code, were functioning normally. My liver enzymes, which had spiked, were dropping back to baseline. Every system in my body that should have failed was working. The medical team kept using words like remarkable and unprecedented, but what they really meant was unexplainable. Emma stayed with me every night. She slept in the chair by my bed, her hand always touching mine, like she was afraid I'd disappear if she let go. One night when the room was quiet and the nurses had finished their rounds, she whispered, "Mom, I was so scared. I thought I lost you." "I'm here, baby," I said. "I'm not going anywhere." She looked at me with those big, serious eyes. "Do you believe me now? That God heard my prayer?" I didn't know how to answer. Part of me wanted to say yes, to give her the affirmation she was looking for, but another part of me, the part that had spent 30 years living without God, was still skeptical. Coincidence? Luck? A freak medical event? But then I remembered the voice, her voice, and the presence I'd felt, and I couldn't deny it anymore. "I believe something happened," I said slowly. "I don't understand it, but I believe you." She smiled, and it was the first real smile I'd seen from her in days. "That's enough, Mom. That's a start." David visited every day, bringing Emma fresh clothes, food, updates from school. One afternoon, he pulled me aside. Well, as much as you can pull someone aside when they're hooked up to a dozen machines. "Kath," Emma told me what she prayed. She said, "God, I need my mom. Please don't take her yet." And you came back. I don't know what to do with that. "Neither do I admitted. He nodded, his jaw tight. "I stopped believing a long time ago. After the divorce, after everything. But this," he gestured at me, at the room, at the impossible situation. "This makes me wonder if I was wrong." The cardiologist, Dr. Stevens, came by on the 5th day. He sat on the edge of my bed, which doctors don't usually do. "Catherine, I need to talk to you about what happened in that cath lab." I braced myself for bad news. Complications, more procedures, a long recovery, but he didn't look worried. He looked awestruck. "We coded you for 25 minutes, he said. "We followed protocol. We did everything right, but nothing worked. Your heart was flatlined. We were about to call it." He paused, rubbing his face. "And then, right when I was about to pronounce you, your heart started. On its own. No shock. No medication. It just started, in a normal rhythm." He looked at me like he was waiting for me to explain it. "I've been doing this for 30 years, Kath. I've never seen that." "What are you saying?" I asked. He leaned forward. "I'm saying I don't have a medical explanation. Your heart stopped. Your brain should be mush. But you're sitting here talking to me, completely intact. That's not medicine. That's something else." "A miracle?" I said the word carefully, like testing it out. He didn't flinch. "Call it what you want. But yeah, that's the only word I've got." After he left, I stared at the ceiling for a long time. A miracle. I'd spent my whole career in medicine, trusting science, trusting protocols, trusting what I could see and measure. And now, the people who live and breathe that same science were telling me there was no explanation. Emma came back that evening with dinner, hospital cafeteria food, but she'd tried to make it nice, arranging it on a tray like a little meal. We ate together in silence. Finally, She said, "Mom, can I ask you something? Anything. When you were gone, did you see anything?" I thought about the in-between place, the quiet, the presence, the question I'd been asked without words. "I don't know if I saw anything," I said slowly, "but I felt something. Someone. And I felt you. I heard your voice, Em. I don't know how, but I heard you." She started crying again, but this time it wasn't sadness. It was relief. "I knew it," she whispered. "I knew God let you hear me." That night, after she fell asleep in the chair, I did something I hadn't done in 30 years. I prayed, not out loud, not with fancy words, just a quiet, desperate whisper in my mind. "God, if you're real, if you brought me back, I need to know why. I need to know what I'm supposed to do with this second chance." I didn't hear an answer, but for the first time in decades I felt like someone was listening. They discharged me on day 7. 7 days after dying for 25 minutes, I walked out of the hospital with a list of medications, follow-up appointments, and strict orders to rest. But I didn't feel like someone who just survived a massive heart attack. I felt different, awake, like I'd been sleepwalking through my life and someone had finally shaken me conscious. Emma insisted on staying home from school for the first week. She hovered, checking on me every hour, making sure I took my pills, reminding me not to overdo it. David stopped by most evenings, bringing dinner, helping with chores, sitting with us in a way that felt both familiar and strange. We'd spent 8 years apart, building separate lives, but death has a way of rearranging priorities. One night, after Emma had gone to bed, David and I sat on the porch. The air was cool, the sky clear. We didn't talk at first. Then he said, "I've been thinking about what happened, about Emma's prayer, about you coming back." I waited. He wasn't usually this reflective. "I think I've been running from God for a long time," he said quietly. "After we split, I was angry. At you, at myself, at him. I stopped praying, stopped going to church, stopped believing any of it mattered." "I did the same thing," I admitted. "I just checked out, focused on work, on Em, on surviving." He nodded. "But seeing you in that hospital bed, hearing what the doctors said, no medical explanation, I can't ignore it anymore. Something happened in that room, something bigger than us." "I think you're right," I said, and saying it out loud felt like crossing a line I'd been standing on for 30 years. We sat in silence again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that holds space for something new to grow. Word spread at work. My coworkers wanted details. What did I see? Was there a tunnel? Did I meet anyone? I disappointed most of them. I didn't see much, I'd say, but I felt something. And I heard my daughter's voice. Some people nodded, satisfied. Others looked skeptical, like I was leaving out the good parts. But Rachel understood. She'd been there. She'd seen me flatline. She'd watched my heart start on its own. "Kath," she said one day over coffee, "I've been a doctor for 20 years. I've seen things I can't explain. But what happened to you? That's different. That was..." She trailed off, searching for the word. "Divine," I finished for her. She didn't argue. Emma asked if she could invite me to church. I hesitated. Church felt like foreign territory after so long. But she looked at me with those hopeful eyes, and I couldn't say no. "Okay," I said. "I'll go." She hugged me so hard I thought my stitches might pop. Sunday morning came too fast. I stood in front of my closet, staring at clothes I hadn't worn in years. What do you wear when you're trying to reconnect with the God you've ignored for 3 decades? I settled on something simple and comfortable. Emma was already dressed, sitting on the couch, waiting. "You ready, Mom?" she asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," I said. The church was smaller than I remembered. Warm, welcoming, filled with people who smiled like they meant it. Emma led me to a seat near the middle. I felt exposed, like everyone knew I was the woman who died and come back. But no one stared. No one whispered. They just welcomed us. The music started, and I didn't know the songs. Emma sang beside me, her voice clear and confident. I mouthed the words, trying to keep up, feeling awkward and out of place. But then the lyrics hit me. "You pulled me from the grave. You called me by my name." And I started crying, right there in the middle of worship, tears streaming down my face, unable to stop. Emma grabbed my hand and squeezed. She didn't try to stop me. She just held on. When the music ended, the pastor stood to speak. He was younger than I expected, casual, relatable. He opened with a question. "Have you ever felt like God gave you a second chance?" My breath caught. Emma glanced at me, her eyes wide. The pastor continued. Maybe you walked away from him. Maybe you stopped believing. Maybe life got hard and you decided faith didn't work. But then something happened. Something you can't explain. And you realized he never left. He was waiting. He's still waiting. I don't remember much of the rest of the sermon. I was too busy processing. Too busy realizing that this wasn't coincidence. That Emma bringing me here, today, to hear this message, was part of something bigger. When the service ended, the pastor invited anyone who wanted prayer to come forward. Emma looked at me. Mom, do you want to go? Yeah, I said, surprised by my own answer. I do. We walked to the front together. The pastor greeted us warmly. What can I pray for you? He asked. I opened my mouth, not sure what to say. Then Emma spoke. My mom died 4 weeks ago. Her heart stopped for 25 minutes. The doctors said she shouldn't be here. But I prayed, and God brought her back. We just want to thank him. The pastor's expression shifted. Surprise, then awe. That's incredible, he said. God isn't done with you. That's clear. Can I pray for you both? We nodded. He placed a hand on my shoulder and prayed. Not a formal, churchy prayer, but a real, honest conversation with God. He thanked God for saving my life. He asked for healing, for strength, for clarity about what comes next. And he prayed that I'd never forget what God had done. When he finished, I felt lighter. Not physically, but spiritually. Like something I'd been carrying for 30 years had finally been set down. Emma hugged me, and we walked back to our seats. As we left the church, people stopped us. We heard what happened, one woman said. We've been praying for you. God is good, another man added. I nodded, still processing, still adjusting to this new reality where God wasn't distant or absent, but close and active. That afternoon, Emma and I sat in the backyard. She was doing homework. I was just sitting, thinking. Finally, I said, Em, why didn't you give up? When I was gone, when the doctors couldn't bring me back, why did you keep praying? She looked up from her book. Because I know God hears me, Mom, and I know he loves you. Even when you stopped believing in him, he never stopped believing in you. Her words broke something open in me. I wasted so much time, I said, my voice cracking. 30 years of not praying, not caring, not paying attention. You're here now, she said simply. That's what matters. She was right. I was here, alive, given a second chance I didn't deserve, and I wasn't going to waste it. David called that evening. How was church? He asked. Good, I said. Really good. You should come with us next week. There was a pause. Then, maybe I will. It wasn't a promise, but it was a step. And steps were all I could ask for. That night, I prayed again. This time it wasn't desperate or confused. It was grateful. God, I don't know why you brought me back, but I'm here, and I'm listening. Show me what you want me to do. I fell asleep with a peace I hadn't felt in decades. Not the peace of having all the answers, but the peace of knowing I wasn't alone. Going back to work felt surreal. 2 months after dying, I walked back into the cardiac unit wearing scrubs, carrying a badge, looking like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. My coworkers treated me differently, not unkindly, but carefully, like I was fragile or holy or both. Lisa hugged me so hard I thought she'd crack my ribs. I'm so glad you're back, she whispered. Rachel pulled me aside during my first shift. How are you really doing? She asked. Physically, I'm fine, I said. Emotionally, I'm still figuring it out. The truth was, I felt like I was living in 2 worlds. One world was the hospital. Machines, protocols, science, logic. The other world was the one Emma had introduced me to. Prayer, faith, miracles, things I couldn't measure or explain. And I was trying to figure out how to live in both without losing my mind. One afternoon, a patient coded. The alarms went off, the team rushed in, and I froze. I stood in the hallway, watching them work, and all I could see was myself on that table. All I could hear was the flat line. All I could feel was the pull, the terrifying, undeniable pull towards something I couldn't see. Lisa noticed. She came over and gently guided me away. You don't have to be in there, Kath. Not yet. I nodded, grateful, but also ashamed. I was supposed to be the strong one, the experienced nurse who could handle anything. But now, I was the one who needed space. That night, I told Emma what happened. I couldn't do it, I said. I just stood there. I felt useless. She sat beside me on the couch, her hand on mine. Mom, you died 2 months ago. Give yourself some grace. But I'm supposed to be past this, I said. Who says? She asked. Who decided there's a timeline for processing what happened to you? You came back from the dead, Mom. That's not something you just get over. She was right, but it didn't make the shame go away. I'd always prided myself on being tough, on handling stress, on never letting fear control me. But fear had found a crack, and now it was leaking into everything. I started having nightmares. Not every night, but often enough. I'd dream I was back on the table, flatlining, hearing voices but unable to respond. I'd wake up gasping, heart racing, drenched in sweat. Emma would hear me and come in, sitting on the edge of my bed, praying softly until I calmed down. David noticed too. He'd been coming over more often, sometimes staying for dinner, sometimes just sitting with us in the evenings. One night, after Emma went to bed, he said, "You're not sleeping, are you?" I shook my head. Nightmares. Have you talked to anyone? A counselor? I don't need a counselor, I said, defensive. I'm fine. He gave me that look, the one that said he knew I was lying. Kath, you died. You were dead for 25 minutes. That's trauma. It's okay to get help. I hated admitting he was right, but he was. The next week, I made an appointment with a therapist who specialized in trauma. Her name was Dr. Sanders, and she was kind, patient, and disarmingly direct. Tell me what you remember, she said during our first session. I walked her through it, the chest pain, the code, the in-between place, hearing Emma's voice coming back. When I finished, she leaned forward. And how do you feel about what happened? Grateful, I said. Confused, scared. Scared of what? She asked. I thought about it. Scared it'll happen again. Scared I won't come back next time. Scared I'm wasting the second chance I was given. She nodded. Those are valid fears, but they don't have to control you. What happened to you was extraordinary, but you're still human. You're still allowed to struggle. Over the next few weeks, I started to process. The nightmares didn't stop completely, but they became less frequent. I learned to talk about my fear instead of burying it. And slowly, I began to accept that surviving didn't mean I had to be perfect. It just meant I was still here, still trying. Emma's church invited me to share my story. At first, I said no. Public speaking terrified me, and the idea of standing in front of strangers and talking about dying felt overwhelming. But Emma looked so hopeful. Mom, people need to hear this. They need to know God still does miracles. I thought about the pastor's sermon, about second chances, about how many people might be where I was, distant from God, skeptical, running on empty. Okay, I said, I'll do it. The night I spoke, the church was packed. I stood at the front, hands shaking, voice unsteady, and told them everything. The heart attack, the 25 minutes, Emma's prayer, the doctor's disbelief, my struggle to make sense of it all. When I finished, the room was silent. Then someone started clapping, then another, then everyone. But I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a witness, someone who'd seen something true and was trying, imperfectly, to share it. Afterward, people came up to me. Some wanted to shake my hand. Others wanted prayer. One woman, probably in her 60s, grabbed my arm and said, I stopped believing God cared about me, but hearing your story, maybe he does. I hugged her, tears in my eyes, and whispered, he does. I promise. David came to hear me speak. I didn't know he was there until I saw him in the back row. After everyone left, he walked up to me. That was brave, he said. I don't feel brave, I admitted. You should, he said. You stood up there and told the truth. That takes guts. He paused, then added, I've been thinking. About us. About God. About maybe trying again. Trying what again? I asked, though I knew. Us, he said. Not because of what happened, but because it reminded me what matters. And you matter. Emma matters. Faith matters. I didn't know what to say. 8 years of distance, of pain, of building separate lives. Could that really be undone? I'm not saying we rush into anything, he continued, but I'd like to try, if you're open to it. I thought about Emma's prayer, about second chances, about how God had brought me back from the dead. If he could do that, maybe he could restore what we'd lost too. I'm open, I said, but we take it slow, for Emma's sake. Agreed, he said, and for the first time in years, I saw hope in his eyes. That night, I thanked God for more than just my life. I thanked him for the slow, messy work of healing, not just my body, but my heart, my family, my faith. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't instant, but it was real, and that was enough. A year has passed since I died, A full year of living in a body that medically shouldn't be functioning the way it does. A full year of second chances, slow healing, and learning to see life through different eyes. Emma is 17 now, applying to colleges, still praying every morning before I leave for work. David and I are taking things slow, going to counseling together, rebuilding trust one conversation at a time. And I'm still here, still breathing, still working, still trying to figure out what God wants me to do with the life He gave back. The nightmares stopped about 6 months ago. I still have moments where I see a code in the hospital and my chest tightens, but I've learned to breathe through it. I've learned to pray through it. Prayer isn't something I do out of duty anymore. It's become as natural as breathing, a constant conversation with the God I ignored for 30 years and who never stopped watching over me. People ask me all the time, "What was it like? What did you see?" And I tell them the truth. I didn't see pearly gates or streets of gold. I didn't meet relatives who'd passed, but I felt something, someone, a presence that was both terrifying and comforting. And I heard my daughter's voice when she was miles away. That's not science. That's not coincidence. That's God. The medical community still doesn't know what to do with my case. Dr. Stevens wrote it up for a journal, calling it Unexplained Cardiac Recovery. Other doctors have reached out, wanting to study me, wanting to understand how someone can be dead for 25 minutes and come back completely intact. But there's nothing to study. There's no medical explanation. There's only faith. Rachel and I still work together. She's become one of my closest friends, and we've had countless conversations about what happened that day. "Kath, I was there," she says. "I saw you die. I saw 8 shocks fail, and I saw your heart start on its own. That doesn't happen. Ever." I nod, because I know. I was there too, just not in the way she was. Emma's faith has only grown stronger. She prays for her friends, for her classmates, for people she's never met. And I've watched miracles unfold, not always dramatic, but real. A girl at her school who was suicidal reached out to Emma after hearing my story. Emma prayed with her, stayed with her, walked her through the darkest season of her life. That girl is still here today. That's not luck. That's the ripple effect of one prayer answered. David came back to church with us about 4 months ago. It was awkward at first. He didn't know the songs, didn't know when to stand or sit, felt like an outsider. But the pastor welcomed him, the congregation embraced him, and slowly, he found his place. One Sunday, he leaned over during worship and whispered, "I forgot what this felt like." "What?" I asked. "Peace," he said. "I forgot what peace felt like. We're not rushing into anything. We're dating, if you can call it that when you've been married before and have a teenage daughter together. But it's different this time. We're building on faith instead of just feelings. We're praying together, going to church together, and letting God lead instead of trying to control everything. It's messy and slow and beautiful." The church where I spoke that first time invited me back to share an updated testimony. This time, I wasn't as nervous. I stood at the front and told them about the year, the nightmares, the therapy, the slow rebuilding of faith and family. I told them that miracles aren't always instant. Sometimes, they're a series of small moments that add up to something bigger than you could have imagined. After I spoke, a man approached me. He was older, maybe in his 70s, with kind eyes and a trembling voice. "I lost my wife 2 years ago," he said. "I've been angry at God ever since, but hearing your story, I think I've been blaming him for something he didn't cause, and I think he's been waiting for me to come back." We prayed together, and I watched tears roll down his face, tears of release, of relief, of coming home. That's when I understood why God brought me back. Not to be famous, not to write a book or go on talk shows, but to stand in hospital hallways and church lobbies and coffee shops and tell people that God is real, that He hears prayers, and that He gives second chances even when we don't deserve them. Emma asked me recently, "Mom, if you could go back and avoid the heart attack, would you?" I thought about it. The pain, the fear, the trauma, it was all real. But so was the outcome. The restored faith, the rebuilt family, the lives changed by a story I never wanted to have. "No," I said, "I wouldn't change it, because it brought me back to God, and it brought you and your dad and me closer than we've ever been." She hugged me tight. "I'm glad God let me keep you." "Me too, baby," I whispered. "Me too. If you're watching this, I want you to hear me clearly. I'm not special. I'm not a saint. I'm a 53-year-old nurse who ignored God for 3 decades and died on a hospital table. But God didn't ignore me. He heard my daughter's prayer, and He brought me back. Not because I earned it, not because I deserved it, but because that's who He is. He's the God of second chances, of restored families, of answered prayers. Maybe you've walked away from God. Maybe you've stopped praying, stopped believing, stopped caring. Maybe you're angry at Him for something that happened, and you've built walls so high you can't see past them. I get it. I was there, but I'm telling you, He's still there. He's still listening. He's still waiting for you to come home. And if you're someone who prays, really prays, don't stop. Don't give up. Emma prayed for me when I couldn't pray for myself. She stood in that hallway and believed when the doctors had given up. And God heard her. Your prayers matter. They reach places you can't see. They move things you can't measure. Don't stop praying. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more stories like mine. Stories of people who died and came back, who met God in the in-between places, who discovered that miracles still happen. Share this video with someone who's given up on faith, who's walking away from God, who needs to know that He's still in the business of bringing dead things back to life. And thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing that my story matters. It's not my story, really. It's His. I'm just the one He chose to tell it through. May you never doubt that God hears you, that He loves you, and that He's never given up on you, even when you've given up on Him.